Recording in progress. The regular meeting of the Milton Board of Zoning Appeals for December 13th, 2022 is now called to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3 on our agenda this evening is introduction of board members, starting from my far left.
My name is Laura Bentley.
Adam Danella,
Hodge Patel,
Don Kurtz.
David Jackson.
and Zach Stafford is not in attendance for this evening's meeting. Item 4 on our agenda is approval of the agenda or amendment for this evening. I'll seek a motion and a second to approve the meeting agenda as published by the City of Milton.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We got a motion from David and a second from Laura to approve the agenda for tonight's meeting as published. Is there any discussion?
Nope.
Seeing that there's no discussion, I'll call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Item 5 on our agenda this evening is approval of the past meeting minutes. I'll seek a motion and a second to amend or approve the November 15th, 2022 meeting minutes as published by the City of Milton.
Motion to approve the November 15th meeting minutes as published.
Second.
No, so you, okay.
We've got a motion by Adam and a second by Hodge to approve the November 15th, 2022 meeting minutes as published by the City of Milton. Is there any discussion? I'll now call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Item 6 on our agenda this evening is consideration of primary variances. The Board of Zoning Appeals is a quasi-judicial board comprised of resident volunteers of the City of Milton. The board is charged with hearing requests for variances from the standards of zoning ordinance and appeals of administrative determination. With regard to decisions on primary variances, the board's basis for decision is provided by these 4 considerations. A, relief if granted would not offend the spirit or intent of the ordinance, and B, there are such extraordinary and exceptional situations or conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property that the literal or strict application of the ordinance would create an unnecessary hardship due to size, shape, or topography, or other extraordinary and exceptional situation or conditions not caused by the variance applicant. And D, relief if granted would not cause a substantial detriment to the public good in surrounding properties. I'm sorry, and D, that the public safety, health, and welfare is secured and substantial justice is done. The first primary variance this evening is V22-26 13845 Brittle Road. Will staff please present?
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Property address is 13845 Brittle Road, and the applicant is seeking the following variance: to allow a proposed accessory structure to remain in front of the primary house. The site is a 5.5 acre parcel located in the Summit View Farm subdivision as shown in Exhibit A. The property is zone AG1 and located in the rural Milton overlay district. Applicable setbacks for the lot are 60-foot front, 50-foot rear, and 25-foot side. The applicant is proposing to build an accessory structure in front of the primary structure, and such a structure is only allowed in a rear or side yard. Therefore, this variance is requested. The site plan shows the lot is pie shaped and narrows towards the rear of the property. The lot frontage is 200 feet, while the depth of the lot is 779 feet, as shown in Exhibit B. This creates a long and narrow lot. The subject parcel has state waters located on the northern part of the property with a City of Milton 50-foot undisturbed buffer and a 75-foot impervious setback requirement. Here's a zoom in of the site plan. The lot overall has a 78 feet drop in grade, sloping in downward direction from the rear of the property to the front of the property. Per the applicant's letter of appeal, the accessory structure location was picked due to the primary residence located being built in the rear of the lot and desired location for the accessory structure is in front of the primary residence there are an area that is clear of any trees. The septic fields are located behind the primary residence. And if you look at the map right here, here are the septic fields. The accessory structure is proposed to be located on the eastern side of the property and 55 feet from the rear property line, right here. The proposed size of the accessory structure is 1,210 square feet and is to be used for beekeeping activities. The 100 feet distance requirement for a barn housing animals is not applicable, as this requirement only applies to livestock per section 64.415.4a. Elevations are shown in Exhibit C. And they also provided a floor plan layout of what will be used for storage and beekeeping purposes. The adjacent neighbor support map is shown in Exhibit D, and that includes support from 1360, 1380, 1410 Summit Road, 13775, 13825, 14115 Brittle Road, 1865 Red Road, and finally 14030 Hagen Road. And you can see from the check marks, they went above and beyond to get support from surrounding neighbors. And the letters are detailed here in Exhibit E. This is a view to the east of the property. As you can tell, it's very well wooded, and you can't really see the neighbors from this point of view. Here's a view to the west, which is the opposite side of where the accessory structure is to be located. Here's a view to the north, which is towards their backyard, where the septic fields are. And this is a view to the south from the front porch. You can really see the drop in grade as you get lower on the property. And actually, it's even better showing the picture from Brittle Road, as you can see how it dives when you get to the state waters and goes in upward fashion up the hill. And this is the proposed accessory structure location, as you can see, is clear of any trees. The DRB met on December 6th and had the following comments. DRB recommends approval of this variance request based on the hardship of the primary house located in the rear of the property and the elevations were received positively. Recommendation from staff, if approved. Per the site plan from Brumbo Reese and Associates, received on November 1st, 2022 by the Community Development Department. Any questions for staff?
Will the accessory structure be visible from the street, from Brittle Road?
It will not.
Will not be,
Yeah,
okay.
it'll be very tucked in. And from this picture right here, I mean, if you ballpark it, it'll probably be here. I'll give you a second. Probably in this vicinity. So it's very well wooded from the street and surrounding neighbors as well.
Do you know, I don't think that there are subdivision covenants for Brittle and Summit. It was a subdivision, but I mean, that might be an applicant question. I just want to make sure there are none for.
Yeah, whenever I look at a plat, I look to see if there's specific rules that are, you know, kind of unique. I didn't see anything unless it was, I didn't see anything on the plat, but maybe the applicant will know if there's a covenants that wasn't on the plat. But yeah, I believe it was from 1995.
Yeah.
Subdivision was from.
I think they were intended to have them, but nothing official ever occurred. So just want to make sure.
Okay.
Michael, does a new accessory structure basically go through the same process of approvals with the city that a new structure, a new house would? I guess I haven't thought about that before. That it would be approved architecturally and that, you know, all the same rigors as a new house.
Correct. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a
Engineering.
pretty sizable structure, 1,200 square feet,
Right.
You know, heated. So yes, it goes through the same standards and it will require architecture review because it's on a public street.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Michael, a question for you on the accessory structure. There was mention that there was a basement there. Is ingress egress going to be from the exterior? Or is it going to be an interior access to the basement? Do we know that?
Good question.
That may be something the applicant can
Yeah, I'm
answer.
pulling the floor plan now.
Driveway, right?
Yeah, I'll let the applicant expand on that, but I'll leave the floor plan up if you want to, you can touch on that.
Okay. And has the applicant mentioned any impervious or pervious surface in terms of access to that accessory structure?
Could you repeat that?
Sure. Do we know if the applicant was planning on paving or putting a gravel path to the accessory structure?
Oh, good question. Yeah, to my knowledge, no. I'll let him expand on
Okay.
that.
Any other questions for staff? Thanks, Michael. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
If the applicant would like to come forward, please state your name and address for the record, please, and tell us about your application.
My name is Steve Laboda. Address of 740, 730, and 735 Hammock Lane in Milton. Also reside at 797 Belle Isle Drive in Alfred.
You want to tell us a little bit about your application and your accessory structure?
I am a general contractor and friend of the owners, Mr. and Mrs. Peter Jackson. Also their former neighbor to the right at 13825 Burr Road. And we brought this before the board for a hopeful approval of a structure for the Jackson family. As hard to follow up with, Michael did a great job coming up explaining everything. So I think everything speaks for itself, but I can answer any questions that you may have.
Sure.
Which you've brought up 3 or 4 already.
So can you talk about whether there will be a pervious or impervious surface that's leading to that structure?
There is no impervious, no driveways right now. That the current driveway is a gravel driveway. If you go, I'm sorry, I don't know how to use your equipment. However, if you go back to the basement view of the elevation, there it is.
Right.
So on the back side of that structure, there is a garage door. So Mr. Jackson has some Kubota farm equipment, seeders, front end loader, things of that nature. And also there's a small room to house some of his beekeeping equipment for his daily activities. And to your other question, that is the only access into that area is through those 2 exterior doors. The idea is behind that garage door to have a little gravel pad so he can pull his tractor in out and wash it in that area. But everything else around that is in a grass pastured area currently, and plan is to remain so.
Is this from the basement, looking at the side elevation on here? I don't know if that one's up there, but it's 2 level, and then that's just a vaulted main floor?
Yes. As Michael eloquently put, the drop off from the property is severe, fairly severe from back to front. So by the time the structure is about 42 foot long, the bottom elevation where the garage door will be on the back side will be at level grade there. And then the top elevation where the front entrance is will be at level grade. Its elevation approximately 11 feet higher than the basement.
And are there any plans or intentions of using this as living quarters at some point?
No, sir.
No.
They use like I said, they have a large home already. All their kids are gone, so they don't need any accessory living space. They want to enjoy his operation, place to store a lot of his equipment downstairs, processing his product upstairs. Likes to have some stuff out and about. And they do sell their product
product I know is sold at Hunter's Tree Farm and other places in the area. He does want to go out there and relax. His wife is a dancer. And so the large area in the middle is for her therapeutic dancing. And they do have a nice porch off to the side, as you can see, to sit out and enjoy the view that's looking over a farm pond that I had on my previous property. So it's there for their enjoyment, but not anything for living. We do have a bathroom in there so they can use the facilities.
Any additional questions from board? Thank you. I appreciate it. If you'd like, you can have a seat. We will.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We've got a total of 10 minutes available for all those wishing to speak in support.
Yeah, no public comment.
No public comment,
I do have one more question for
either
Michael.
in support or opposition?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I have one question for Michael. Michael, when he's talking about the gravel pad, my assumption is right out the back door. The building line is right there. Is that going to be an issue, having a gravel pad in the building line or over the building line? Because it looks like the corner of the building is right there.
Yeah, if it's,
I mean, the way I'm understanding it, the rear elevation here, they're going to have a pad right off the garage doors, which would basically be encroaching upon the setback.
yeah, so it is, I think he's talking about is he talking about right here?
Yeah, if they set up a gravel pad
Yeah.
to the building is fine. They're talking about installing a gravel pad for
Right.
wash and all that.
So,
I mean,
no, I'm just thinking, so basically there's allowed encroachments for homes, and I'm wondering if that would apply to an accessory structure. But if you had a house, your uncovered porch, just like gravel or, concrete, can encroach 10 feet over a setback. But that's for a primary structure, not for an accessory structure. You want to expand on?
Sure, I can make it for you. Here the structure.
Can you come up to the podium? The meeting's being recorded, so I want to make sure everyone can hear. Thank you.
The rear of the structure in this case is towards the front of the road, of Brittle Road, not along the property line.
okay.
One, just to let you know, I think it'd
Okay.
make it moot.
So the north side is the rear.
Yes.
Okay, that makes sense. That was why I was asking. I wanted to make sure we're.
No worries. I can answer a little easier.
Sir, you can stay up here. If any additional questions, if you'd like to make a closing statement, you're welcome to make a closing statement as well.
I appreciate the opportunity in coming in. From what I understand and working with the BZA, that this is exactly what the city's been looking for as far as having these kind of structures. I'm going to expand. I think Laura had asked the questions about covenants. I, as a resident, have been a resident there. Virginia Nickerson was an original declarant. I'm not even sure Virginia is with us anymore. The covenants what they have are very limited, and to the point where the only thing they disallowed was swine. Where there's another 120-year-old barn that was on once one of my properties as well, was also on the front right off of Brittle Road. So, and there's other structures there, that it was designed to be more of a rural farming community. And I believe that this structure is in fitting with that area for sure, and will be a benefit to the community, as well as relieving the hardship for Mr. and Mrs. Jackson. Lastly, by us putting it here, we're able to not get into a stand of hardwood trees that are in the back with a very limited space. So we looked at it, it was a win-win for everybody by providing this location and a structure that has this much appeal to it.
Can I ask a quick question? Sure. So does the property slope from Brittle down to the house?
Yes and no. So initially, I don't have the topography in front of me to give you the numbers, but I can give you kind of a pretty good idea. From Brittle Road you go down towards a creek and where their driveway
Oh,
goes
yeah.
over, which was a spillway off the spring that was on the property adjacent, happened to be mine. So it goes down an elevation, I'm gonna say probably 25 feet, maybe a little bit more. And then it goes up approximately 60, 70 feet from there.
If there were no trees from Brittle Road, would you be able to see the accessory structure?
Certainly.
Okay.
Yeah, I think any structure that's in the front of a house that had nothing impeding it between the street and that structure anywhere would be viewed.
Mhm.
I will say, however, if I can interject, Zach, that the tree structures and the buffering that you do see there on the site plan is along, as Michael described, is along a creek. So you do have the buffers in order that are there with the state, with the city, and the impervious aspects, when we're staying way far away from those. So in order for those to be impacted, somebody'd have to have another approval regarding that measure.
Right.
And I'm not asking for that.
I was going to mention that.
I hear you, I'm sorry.
One additional question for you.
Certainly.
As the architectural plans that were submitted, are we looking at something that's going to be final, that's going to be somewhat similar to that?
I'm sorry.
So the architectural plans, the elevations that were
Yes.
in our packet, is that pretty close to being final, or is there going to be any significant changes
No, that's
outside
it.
of the architect's approval?
That's the exact final product we're looking for. So far as a little bit further question Q&A with the BZA is that the outside's meant to have a little bit of rusticness to it. You can see post and beam work on the outside roof porches. Those are beams and wood that's already been cut. It's all sourced locally. Some of it is from property, new construction that has happened along Summit Road and a couple other projects in the area, including my own development. I have also provided some of the white oak. So we're sourcing local materials in order to help make this. The subject's house also has cedar shake on it that is stained, because I stained it. This structure is meant to have the same siding, or I'm sorry, it's the same wood shake on it, staying the same color, and the stonework is going to be the same. So they're going to match very distinctly, along with, they will have a nice metal roof on there. It's not meant to be, not looking at unfinished galvanized steel. Dark bronze is the color we're looking at doing, along with dark bronze windows.
Appreciate it. And one of the reasons I was asking that question is if we were to grant approval, we typically reference a survey and a plan. And so I want to make sure we were still within the same footprint for the accessory structure.
So the provided survey and plans, granting approval by this body, is what will be given to the permitting building department, is our next step with the exact information you have in front of you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any additional questions?
So the elevations included as a condition, is that what you're suggesting? Is that okay?
With me?
Okay.
Any additional questions? I appreciate it. Thank you. Any follow-up questions for staff? I'll now close the public portion of this application and open the floor for a motion and a second.
Hodge, I'd like to make a motion to approve V22-26 to allow a proposed accessory structure to remain in front of the primary house with the condition per the site plan from Brumbelow, Reese and Associates received on November 1st, 2022, and also to include the elevations that were displayed in the packet for tonight. The elevations prepared by Timothy Bryan on 6/20, 28, 21.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Laura and a second by David with the following conditions for V22-26. Per the site plans, give me 1 second here. Per the site plans from Brumbelow, Reese and Associates dated November 1st, provided the City of Milton's Community Development Department. And as an additional condition, the architectural elevations by Timothy Bryan dated 6/28/2021. Discussion?
I just would, obviously, this is exactly what we're trying to facilitate in Milton. It's a very nice beekeeping barn. It's beautiful. So more power to you on that. It's also very nice in a neighborhood in a subdivision like this because it's so special to see the widespread support. So thank you, Michael, for making that so easy for us to see all those green check marks. It's great to see that your neighbors are in support. So those are my comments. And I certainly don't see that any help and welfare of the community is at risk with this project.
Yeah, my big thing was having an accessory structure in front of the house, you're going to have from the street, it's going to be a natural barrier because of the stream. So you're not even going to be able to see it, even if everything that's allowed to be cut is cut.
Yeah, I think this fits all 4 criteria. I mean, most importantly, it fits with the rural nature of Milton and what the city is trying to do and how it, continues to provide a rural view shed. And even if you could see this structure, I think it would be a welcome to people driving by to see something like this, along with the house. So I'm excited to see it complete.
But you're not going to see it because of the trees.
Oh, I'm going to see it. I'm going to find a way to see it.
My only comment, and maybe this is just a little too nitpicky, but I think the way we've worded some of these things in the past is to say like substantially in accordance with Exhibit C, the elevation, because, it's not going to be exact. That's not an architectural plan. That's a mock-up drawing. It's just think in the past we've said it that way, substantially in accordance. It leaves a little, but no sense revising it, I guess, if we don't have to.
Wouldn't hurt my feelings. Go
It's up to
ahead.
you. You'd have to, no, I can't revise it. You'd have to.
You want me to pull? Are we good? I mean, the
Just leave it. You
pictures.
wanna just leave it? You can leave it. Is the attorney okay with that?
I mean, I think if it was somewhat loosely worded such that substantially in accordance with the drawings, which I think you described by the actual description of the actual drawing itself, as opposed to exhibit number, which is fine. Substantially in accordance with, I think, could be interpreted to do that, but we can expressly state it if Ms. Bentley and Mr. Jackson agree that that was part of the motion and second.
Do I need to change the motion?
Was that part of your motion?
It
Would you like
wasn't.
to be?
He had suggested that substantially in accordance.
If you'd like to restate it as such.
Do you want me to-
We'll withdraw and restate.
Okay, I'll withdraw my motion.
A second.
I'll open the floor for another motion.
Okay, so new motion, which is to approve V2226 13845 Brittle Road to allow a proposed accessory structure to remain in front of a primary house with the condition per the site plan for from Brumbelow Reese and Associates, Inc., received on November 1st, 2022. And the elevations to be substantially in accordance with the elevations provided in this packet from Timothy O'Brien on June 28th, 2021.
I'll second.
We've got a motion from Laura and a second by David to approve V22-26 per the survey provided by Brumbelow, Reese and Associates dated November 1st, 2022. In addition to that, another condition would be per the plan submitted in our packet
Exhibit C.
from Timothy Bryan, dated June 28th, 2021, that the overall plans be substantially similar to what is in our packet. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you and continue to work with the staff. The second primary variance this evening is V22-2714455 Thompson Road.
The property address is 14455 Thompson Road. The applicant is seeking the following variance: to allow an existing barn to encroach into the 100-foot building setback for housing animals by 75 feet. The site is an 8.6 acre parcel located in the Hidden Valley Farm subdivision, as shown in Exhibit A. The property is zoned AG1 and located in the rural Milton overlay district. Applicable building setbacks for the lot are 60-foot front, 50-foot rear, and 25-foot side. The 100-foot building setback is required for a barn housing animals as per section 64, 454A. The applicant is requesting to allow the existing barn to encroach into the 100-foot building setback for housing animals by 75 feet. Therefore, this variance is requested. The Hidden Valley Farm subdivision contains 4 lots. Here is the primary lot seeking the variance. Here's a second lot, and a third lot back here, and finally the 4th lot. So the 3 lots back here use it as their primary access, but the homeowner at 14455 Thompson Road, who's seeking the variance, has primary access off Thompson Road, but he uses this access for the barn. The applicant purchased the property in 2019, and the barn was built in 1988 as well. The site plan shows the barn is currently located 25 feet from the northern property line, as shown in Exhibit B. City staff inquired why the pasture fence was located over both 14465 and 14475 Thompson Road, and the applicant then provided the pasture use agreement from 1988 that provided details about pasture access shown in Exhibit C. The pasture use agreement states the area will be used for pasture or lawn purposes, no structures will be erected, and the pasture area and fence will be maintained and kept in clean and sightly condition. The barn is located approximately 95 feet from the private drive. The adjacent neighbor support map is detailed in Exhibit D, showing support from 14465 Thompson Road, 14470 Thompson Road, and finally 14475 Thompson Road. Here are the letters shown in Exhibit E. So this is a view to the east of the property, which you can see is very wooded. And here's a view to the west towards Thompson Road. And this is the pasture land. This is a view to the north, which is if you're at the barn facing the private drive, this is what you see. So it feels farther than 25 feet because it's really 95 feet from the actual private drive, but all the flags make it seem like it's farther away. Here's a view to the south. And these are 2 horses on the farm. They approached me. The homeowner was right next to me. I don't have the touch with the horses yet.
Good job, Michael.
Yeah.
They look happy.
There you go.
They don't look threatening.
Yeah, right. I'm welcoming. Yes. Okay. Yeah. And here's some photos of the barn. And here's a view from Thompson Road. DRB met on December 6th and had the following comments. DRB recommends approval of this variance request. If approved, staff recommends the following condition. Per the site plan from Davis Engineering and Surveying received on November 4th, 2022 by the Community Development Department. Any questions for staff?
Yeah, do you mind going back and just running through the lot line numbers for us on the, either the picture map, the aerial, or the, kind of just showing us which direction, how far from each, where the 95 feet is, where
Yeah.
the 100 feet's supposed to be, and all that kind of stuff, just so we're
Would this
all
be
on the same
better,
page.
private site plan?
On here.
Yeah. So in essence, let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here. All right, where's it at? In essence, you got the 24.7 feet, we rounded up 25 from the property line right here. And then there's 95 feet from the private drive to the barn, and you have 3 different properties that share it for access for the primary residence. And you see right here, here's a driveway for the primary homeowner seeking the variance, and they just use it for the barn access here. But from just driving down that private drive, you wouldn't suspect it's 25 feet from the property line. It feels closer to 100 because it's 95 feet away.
Gotcha.
Michael, how was the city notified, or did this variance request come about? Was there something else that was being asked for and it came up?
Yes, the applicant was seeking a shed permit.
Okay.
Yes, and so he
And-
flagged the,
And where's the location of where that permit
Yep.
was being requested?
absolutely. Right here. Right here, there it is. Okay, yeah, we wanted to make sure it was shown, but yeah, so there it is right there. There's the location of the shed, right here.
That's interesting because when I was looking at this plan ahead of time, I was like, what is the concrete pad for? It's really not connected to anything.
Yeah, right. Previous shed was located there. But yeah, the DRB was very quick with this review. They're like, why are we seeing this? Similar question you guys had, was a neighbor that called it in. It's just community development's policy to not approve anything when there's a non-compliant issue.
Well, the city is filled with barns on the property line. I can assure you I have one.
He had a similar comment when I walked out of the site. He's like, I'm not the only one, just for the record.
Sheds,
So
yeah.
he did share that with me, Alistair.
It's a little nerve wracking.
Yeah.
Any additional questions for staff?
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to look at the DRB video. Do you recall if they had any discussion of the actual appearance of the barn? Because it apparently is visible from Thompson Road.
It was very short, but they just said it was a beautiful barn, and they really moved on pretty quickly to the next item.
So is that considered then, if the DRB is okay with the variance, is it then considered that architecturally this barn is okay? Is that what we can assume, or do we need to have an architectural look at the barn? I mean, we're approving something that's visible from the road, and it looks very nice to me. I mean, I don't have any reason to think it's not. I just wonder the process there. Is the
Yeah.
DRB approval then sufficient that we can assume architecturally it's
Yeah,
okay?
It was received positively by the DRB, architecturally wise. Yeah.
And it's
put-
also been in existence
Yeah,
for,
It's been
since 1988.
1988, it's been there.
No, I understand that. It's just, I'm sort of going over in my mind, we're approving the variance to allow a barn. And what if that barn was a complete piece of junk? And it is, and we're allowing it to be visible from Thompson Road. Wouldn't we want to say that architecturally it should be upgraded? In this case, it may be all hypothetical because it looks pretty good, but it seems,
Right.
it seems we should have some comment on whether that existing barn, since we're approving it, meets the standards because it's visible.
Yeah, no, I know.
I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense.
In this case, it's probably moot because it looks nice, but
Well, yeah, that does make sense. And I think that more so is a question for Paul, is that within our scope to get into architectural, situations. I know obviously if we didn't grant it, they would, typically those types of buildings in that condition, not this one, but in the dilapidated condition, those would just end up being torn down. They would have to go back to the DRB and get a tear down permit, right?
I'm generally speaking, how I'll answer that is your basic purview is to approve or reject applications to vary from existing regulations that are found in the zoning ordinance. But as part of that, you can take into account certain factors, including aesthetics, in terms of the conditions you place on your approval. So you would be able to set certain requirements on the aesthetics of a particular barn. If you were to prove, even if it existed, you could make them upgrade if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. So if it was in a condition that we thought was not the best condition,
Maybe this is
we
just-
could have them upgraded.
Right.
Yeah, that's good to know.
But in this case, it sounds like the DRB was okay with it, and unless somebody here has a particular concern about it, it looks good to me in the pictures, but I'm just, maybe it was just more for clarification.
Raised a valid point.
Huh?
You raised a valid
Well,
point.
okay. You can decide if it looked good. then.
Any additional questions for staff? Appreciate it, Michael. Thank you. We'll have a combined 10 minutes for the applicant to make an opening presentation, public comment from anyone wishing to speak in favor, and a closing statement from the applicant. There will also be 10 minutes for public comment in opposition. Would you please state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, Alistair Rombo, 14455 Thompson Road. So we purchased this farm. We moved out here from California because we wanted land which is unaffordable in California so that we could have horses at home, our children ride. And we discovered Milton as a little haven in the Atlanta area. And we fell in love with the area. We fell in love with the structure. It had everything ready. It had horses prior to us owning it. The prior owner had 2 horses on the property. So it was absolutely perfect. So we bought it in May of 2019, and in October 2019 we rescued 2 horses and 2 donkeys, including an off-the-track thoroughbred. They've been housed in that barn. Well, they mostly live in a pasture and go in and out of the barn as they please. And we ride them on a regular basis and have trained them to be, especially the thoroughbred, to be nice and rideable for enjoyment. So that's what we use it for. And it's got a hayloft at the top, and it's in very good condition. We keep maintaining it. And obviously, like everything, there's never a dull moment. We've also replaced the entire perimeter fence of the property because it was 30 years old, and boards break when you touch them at some point. So we replaced everything as
Any additional questions for the applicant?
No, I mean, I honestly didn't recognize you when we were in the dark
I didn't
out there.
either. I was like, I know you.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had the occasion to be out there a couple different times and talk to Alistair in the past. And it's a great property. It's, beautiful house and barn and everything. And again, this is why, we want people in Milton to have the animals in the barns and the rural feel and do exactly what you're doing on the property. So we love that you came to town and jumped right in.
If you'd like, you can hang out there for 1 second. Do we have anybody wishing to speak in favor or in opposition?
We do not.
We do not? Okay. If you'd like to make any closing statements, you're welcome to make any closing statements.
As I'm asking to, obviously, for the variance to be approved. It would be an enormous project to move such a large structure. And we get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And
Appreciate it. Thank
Thank you.
you. Any additional questions for staff before we close public comment? Public comment is now closed. I will open the floor for a motion and a second on V22-27144455 Thompson Road.
I'd like to make a motion to approve V 22-27, 14455 Thompson Road, to allow an existing barn to encroach into the 100-foot building setback for housing animals by 75 feet, with the condition per the site plan from Davis Engineering and Surveying received on November 4th, 2022.
Second. Discussion?
My comments are that anytime anyone finds Milton to come here to keep horses, it's it's exactly what all of us want, our vision and mission, especially now that property is so expensive. Barn maintenance is huge, and your barn is beautiful. And even if barns might be a little bit less than what the new barns look like, I think we really need to embrace them to keep the acreage here in Milton. So those are my comments. And clearly, this barn has been standing in this farm since 1988. So this is a true hardship. We changed this ordinance. He wants to put up a shed. And so this is a true hardship because he's caught, and as many of us are. I have 3 sheds that are in that setback because that's not the way it was when we built under Fulton County. So those are my comments.
Yeah, I believe this application meets all 4 standards. The structure was there in 1988, so it certainly creates a hardship. He has the support from the adjacent property owners as well. I think it adds to the aesthetics and the rural Milton character as well. So I'm in support of this application.
Yeah, I would agree with both of y'all on that.
Any additional comments? I'll open the, excuse me, so V22-27 14455 Thompson Road. We've got a motion from Lauren, a second from Hodge, to allow an existing barn structure to encroach into the 100-foot building setback for housing animals by 75 feet. Per the survey provided by Davis Engineering and Surveying, received by the City of Milton Community Development on November 4th, 2022. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Item number 7 on our agenda is consideration of appeals and secondary variances.
None.
None. Item 8, old business.
Yeah, I don't know if you all been mulling over for a month, what you thought about the calendar. If you have any suggestions or it's ready to go.
Good.
Would appreciate a vote if you didn't see any problems with it.
I have one comment. I think I counted 4 or 5 dates where the DRB meeting is probably 7 or 8 days away from our meeting. If we could just work with the applicants, if there's some significant revisions that come out of DRB, just to give them a heads up, so then maybe we set it for a following meeting
That's a good point.
versus
Yeah.
just having it on the agenda, everybody shows up for it, and then it gets pushed if there's significant
Yeah,
changes.
we can do that for sure. That's a really good observation.
Any other comments? I'll make a motion to approve the 2023 Board of Zoning Appeals schedule as published.
I'll second.
We've got a motion from Hodge and a second from Kurt to approve the 2023 Board of Zoning Appeals schedule as published. Any discussion?
Well, are we gonna just get an email copy of this or something?
Yeah,
So we
I'll
throw
send it
on the
out.
Calendar. Or something like
Exactly.
that?
And I'll put on the website. Yeah.
I gotta get it in the book
Take it to
there.
memory.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The draft
Just-
watermark
well,
has been
I
removed.
figured I couldn't just take this one, which would be easier. But
Yeah. Yeah. If you can. Yeah.
Perfect.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Item I wanted to bring up one other item.
Yeah.
Next month's meeting is the first meeting of the year, and then we go through the process of electing off chairman and vice chairman. So just keep that in mind for our January, I think it's 17th is that meeting. Yes.
Well, it'll have to be in February because the reason I'm giving this data now is because you don't have a January meeting.
You don't have a January meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So actually, let me pull it right back. It'll have to be February 21st.
21st.
Yeah. All right.
Item 10 on our agenda.
Oh,
Do we pull
so
the?
is this the variance data?
Oh,
The
I'm
new
sorry.
business,
I'm
new
sorry.
business, yeah.
Where's,
New business, sorry.
There it is.
Item 9 on our agenda is 2022, the variance data.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, we don't have a January variance, so we kind of decided after talking to Bob, just give it to him now, end of the year, makes sense. And you can just imagine there's 2 more cases that you saw, but in the end, you saw 24 cases instead of 22, and you approved 22, and 2 variant cases were denied. And I put together a pie chart that showed what exactly variances were granted. And you can kind of see a theme here. You know, existing structure setback, that was the most common variance granted. And if you look through all existing structures, it makes up over half of all the variances granted, or things were grandfathered in that sense, not somebody asked for something new. And Bob actually, when I presented this data to him, he wanted you guys to see kind of the behind the scenes look of what we do daily, because this doesn't come before you. And it's because Bob, Shu, and myself, we try to work with the applicant to not seek a variance if it's possible. And the example you have before you, I'm not sure if you guys see on the screen.
yeah,
The gentleman came before us and said, hey, I would like a variance to allow my guest house in the side yard. Even without thinking, I can move it somewhere, or I want the minimal variance, they just said, I want a variance. And, you know, as staff, we sit them down, explain the variance process, the 4 Harps or criterias, and if we can work with them to not seek a variance, that's our goal. And this gentleman actually moved the guest house back 25 feet, angled it at 90 degrees, and he resubmitted, and he's through the permitting process. These are things you guys don't see that probably happen for every variance you see. 2 of these come across our desk. So it's a lot of behind the scenes stuff you guys don't see, and a reason why, you know, there were only 22 cases that came before you.
Thank you.
Very appreciative of your guys' efforts to minimize the request for variances.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd say this is great work to put this together, to see which cases we've had and in what areas and that kind of thing. I do have one comment. It's on perception of us having basically accepted, 90% of what comes in. And I think people listening to this board may get the wrong perception that we've only denied 2. I mean, we've worked through to make changes with the applicant and to do things and to put conditions in place to make it acceptable to the community before we have approved these. So it's not like, we don't want the rest of the city of Milton thinking that we've just, taken 20 of them and, oh yeah, we just approve them. So we
Rubber
have,
stamp approach.
yeah, we've not rubber stamped. That's the word I'm looking for. And we have made conditions and we have worked with people. Because I've heard in the past, years ago, there was a lot of comments that this board actually was getting some negative press for approving everything. And so I don't think people looking at this should get that perception.
So I think it's important to look at the volume that's coming, that's even getting to us. It goes back to our staff being aligned with the community vision of council. And that front line, when the applicant walks in and says, this is what I want, and when staff is able to say, that's not going to pass the 4 criteria that must occur. And another thing that's really important is, I would love for you to go and see how many applications the BZA and Roswell sees versus, because that's really going to show you the great job that you're doing, so that when it does get to us, you have clearly articulated what it is that the boards are trying to accomplish for Milton. And for those of you that have lived here for 15, 20 years, it was kind of the Wild West. We were building things everywhere. Fulton County was not present. And so a lot of these existing structures has nothing to do. I mean, we have, especially on these large parcels that we want to protect and not run off those people, those farm owners. That's really important. I'm not a bit ashamed of that. That's the heart and soul of rural Milton right there. So I really love these pie charts. I look at it as, I think that you're going to see in other cities a lot more variances coming in with less intellect of approval. I think that we have to really sift through these. It's difficult, you know, the ones that we did not approve and the reasons why. New construction, limiting the intensity and density is really what this board's about on the, you know, as Milton gets built out. It is, in my opinion, one of the most important boards with what we do.
Yeah, I mean, echoing Don's comment, I mean, if you look at just the numbers, you know, that's not really very telling, like he says. But then when you see the pie chart, that really does help explain, you know, more of what we're actually doing,
Right.
which is the most helpful piece for the people that are outward looking in here as to what we do and how we do it.
Yeah, Michael, your presentations this year have been spectacular, to say the least, in terms of the amount of detail. For example, when you're right up on one of our applications today, you talked about the 70-foot elevation change, and you're really putting a picture around what are the site conditions and what are the things that the board should really be considering as we're making a decision. So it's been very helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Make our job easy, really. It's-
Yeah.
so thank you.
Well, on that note, I think David is up.
Item 10 on our agenda.
Like, make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We had a motion from David and a second from Adam to adjourn. Any discussion? Seeing none, call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously.
Did y'all get mad if I was just like, wait, hold on?